Thank you very much, colleagues. I'm noticing that the time here in New York is just reaching 9 a.m. And I'm seeing that all our speakers are available on our screen, which I am very encouraged to see. And I also see, Sai, are we ready to go now? Just give me an indication.
Yes,
Thank
please.
you. All right. Thank you kindly, Sai. And a very good morning, Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, for joining us this morning. This is the second in the two-series webinar that we are organizing here at the United Nations headquarters in New York to brief colleagues who are interested in the SIDS Partnerships Award 2025. We are bringing you this series together with our colleagues from the Office of the High Representative of the Least Developed, Landlocked Developing, and Small Island Developing States, or HRLS. And this morning, we are very much honored to have with us the co-chairs of the SIDS Partnerships Steering Committee, United Nations Steering Committee. The SIDS Partnership Framework, for colleagues who are perhaps unaware, is presently being co-chaired by the permanent representative of Latvia to the United Nations and the permanent representative of the Maldives to the United Nations. And this morning we are fortunate to have with us Hussein and also Emil, who will be delivering some welcome remarks for these meetings, for this webinar series. So without any further ado, let me now welcome Mr. Hussein Hassan Mohammed Hussein, the second secretary at the Permanent Mission of the Republic of Maldives to the United Nations, to make a statement. Hussein.
Thank you, Sai. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. On behalf of the Permanent Representative of the Maldives to the United Nations, His Excellency Dr. Ali Nasir Mohammed, it is my pleasure to join you today for the briefing to stakeholders on the UN SIDS Partnership Awards 2025. The multi-stakeholder partnerships was a landmark outcome from the SIDS 3 conference in Apia, Samoa. The Samoa Pathway for the first time recognized the importance of partnerships for sustainable development, especially in SIDS. The Antigua and Barbuda Agenda for SIDS Abbas reiterated this importance last year in St. John's precisely due to the importance and the role of partnerships in transforming the development landscape in SIDS. One of the biggest development challenges for SIDS, like the Maldives, is the lack of state capacity. Our needs are numerous, but our resources are limited. Multi-stakeholder partnerships allow SIDS to promote sustainable development without creating additional burdens for the state. Whether it is addressing climate change and other environmental issues or capacity building programs in SIDS, multi-stakeholder partnerships have proven to be a successful and viable approach to sustainable development. The UN SIDS Partnership Awards recognizes these successes with the hope of encouraging greater partnerships and greater successes. I am pleased to see that this webinar is attended by quite a number of stakeholders. The interest in the SIDS Awards is a testament to the interest of stakeholders to support the sustainable development of SIDS. I take this opportunity to thank you all for your interest in the awards and also, most importantly, for your support to SIDS. I will now provide a brief background of the UN SIDS Partnership Awards. The UN SIDS Partnership Awards was established by the UN member states through the GA Resolution 76/203 in 2021 to recognize and reward the efforts of the best and most noteworthy, genuine, and durable partnerships in the implementation of the Samoa Pathway. The co-chairs of the steering committee of the SIDS Partnership Framework, the permanent representatives of the Maldives and Latvia to the United Nations, are overseeing this process as part of the SIDS Partnership Framework. The awards provide an opportunity to reward the most successful SIDS partnerships, highlight best practices, and increase the visibility of the SIDS Partnership Framework, motivate the creation of new SIDS partnerships, and incentivize the registrations of new ones. The SIDS Partnerships Awards are given in each of the 3 dimensions of sustainable development: first being economic, second social, and third environment, as stipulated in the resolution 76/203. This year marks the fourth UN SIDS Partnership Awards, and it's the first one since the adoption of the Antigua and Barbuda Agenda for SIDS. We have updated the rules and guidelines to align with the new outcome document. Details will be provided by the Secretariat later in this briefing. The deadline for this year's awards is Friday, the 13th of June, the last day of the UN Oceans Conference. Over the past 3 years, we have received many applications from impactful partnerships dedicated to advancing the sustainable development of SIDS. We are delighted to welcome several past awardees today who will be sharing their valuable experience with us. I encourage all partnerships advancing sustainable development in SIDS to apply for these awards. I will now hand over to my co-chair Emils to talk about new elements that have been added this year. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Izan. Greetings to everyone. And on behalf of the permanent representative of Latvia to United Nations, Ambassador Her Excellency Sanita Paulita Deslandes, I'm pleased to be here today with you and see your interest in SIDS Partnership Awards. My name is Emils Dombrovskis, and I'm representing the permanent mission of Latvia to UN. In this year, it's my honor to also serve as the chair of the judging panel. As for co-chairs, this year is very important for us to build on the momentum where we left off at the SIDS 4 conference and promote the commitments we agreed to in the ABA's outcome, where partnerships play also a very important part. Therefore, it's extremely encouraging for us to see your interest, and we hope it will also result in successful awards ceremony at the end of the year. Now I will briefly turn to the applications and to the new elements we have added this year. So before ABAS was adopted, we had categorized the Samoa Pathway priority areas into 3 dimensions, as it was mentioned before, economic, environmental, and social. However, since the adoption of ABAS, we have also categorized the ABAS priority areas into 3 dimensions, and these areas have been identified as cross-cutting, and applicants are required to choose one of the 3 categories to most closely align with the objectives of their partnerships. We have been using the SMART criteria, as you may know, meaning SID-specific, measurable and monitorable, achievable and accountable, resource-based and results-focused, timeline for implementation, and transparency by all parties. This year, a new criterion, innovation, has been added. The UN Secretary General defines innovation as doing things differently and doing different things. Innovation can be adopting new approaches to problem solving, exploring alternative methods, enhancing existing systems, and taking risks to create something really original. It extends beyond technological advancements and the use of digital technologies. Now to the award ceremony. So the award ceremony will take place towards the end of this year in New York, and subject to finding one representative from the winning partnerships will be invited to New York to receive the award. The winning partnerships will also have opportunity to be invited to speak at SIDS partnership events or webinars to share their best practices as successful partnerships and connect with potential partners and donors. The Secretariat could facilitate connecting focal points of the winning partnerships and potential partners and donors. As the chair of the judging panel, I will be chairing the virtual discussions with the top nominees, and I look forward to receiving as many applications as possible from successful partnerships that are contributing to sustainable development of SIDS and the implementation of ABAS and the SDGs. So the application process will be provided by the Secretariat, and it's my pleasure to hand the floor back to the facilitator. And I thank you very much for joining us today.
I want to thank Emil, Mr. Dombrovskis. Thank you very much for that intervention, and also Mr. Hussein, our co-chairs. Thank you for your leadership, and thank you as well for clarifying to us the processes that we are about to undergo in the 2025 Partnerships Award applications process. Now, colleagues, we are going to move to the second part of our series, our webinar series, and that is we are going to invite now some speakers from previous winners just to share with us their insight after winning the SIDS Partnerships Award. Each of the speakers are being given 10 minutes to tell their story, so to speak. And they will, of course, be talking generally about the SMART criteria for the SIDS partnerships and how their partnerships has had impact in small island developing states. And of course, the experience of the award process to help you as well, those of you who are interested, and offer some useful suggestions to you. Now, for those of you who are joining us, you will note that in your screen, you'll find a Q&A tag there, which I encourage you, while you're listening to the speakers, if you wish to pose a question to them, you may do that and by typing your question in the Q&A tag. So now we'll move on to hear our first speaker. And this morning, we are very, very honored and happy indeed to have with us Mr. Ali, Humaid Al-Derey. He's the regional manager of the Abu Dhabi Fund for Development. Of course, the Abu Dhabi Fund was the recipient of the 2024, last year's economic category. We are very happy to have the AUAE Pacific Partnerships Fund and the UAE Caribbean Renewable Energy Fund by the Abu Dhabi Fund. And we are going to invite now Ali to make his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sai, and ladies and gentlemen, excellencies. I'm very happy and honored to be with you today to share the lesson we learned from participating in the UN SIDS Partnership Award. Before I start my presentation, with your permission, allow me to close the camera to maintain a good connection as I'm away from the office. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yes, we can. Thank you, Ali.
Let me begin by expressing on behalf of Abu Dhabi Fund for Development our deep gratitude to the United Nations. For years, the UN has played a central role in guiding global development, promoting peace, and advancing international cooperation. Through instruments such as the Samoa Pathway, the Sendai Framework, and the Sustainable Development Goal, the UN has given voice to the unique challenges faced by small island developing states, and has inspired development partners like us to think beyond traditional aid and toward innovative, resilient, and inclusive solutions. We are also thankful for the platform provided by the SIDS Partnership Award. It's more than a recognition, it's a motivation. It encourages all of us to go further, work harder, and do more for the world's most climate vulnerable communities. Today, I'm honored to present the ADFD initiatives in the Pacific and Caribbean and to reflect on how these partnerships aligned with the SMART criteria: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. In addition to showing you some example of innovation, or how we define it, how we look at it, and how we think we achieved it. To show the alignment with the SMART criteria, the simplest way, I think, to present how we designed our partnership and what we have achieved. Allow me to begin by briefly presenting the UAE SIDS Caribbean and Pacific partnership. For the alignment with the SMART criteria, our partnership under the UAE Pacific Partnership Fund and the UAE Caribbean Renewable Energy Fund were laser focused on specific needs: reducing energy poverty, boosting climate resilience, and enhancing local capacity. The targets were clear: and the indicators of success well defined. To be specific, we aimed to reduce diesel dependency through clean energy solutions tailored to each island geography. To measure the outputs and the outcomes, we tracked outputs such as the mega installed capacity and outcomes such gigawatt hour generated electricity, carbon dioxide avoided, and people trained. To achieve our target, we based our model on inclusive partnership that include 4 development actors: governments, private sector, NGOs, academia. To assess relevancy, we developed a good understanding of the UN global agendas related to SIDS and ensured that each project aligned with SIDS national development priorities and the global framework relevant to SIDS. The phases were scheduled, executed, and evaluated, ensuring timely delivery and accountability. Through this partnership, we were able to deliver over 22 megawatt of clean energy installed capacity in 26 countries. More than 28 gigawatt hours of energy annually has been produced. The annual saving of more than $10 million in diesel imports, and more than 22,000 of carbon dioxide avoided every year. And many people benefited and trained. Learning from the award process, I think this is what you want to hear. Applying for this award was not just a submission. It was a strategic exercise. It prompted us to reflect deeply on what we had achieved and, more importantly, in how we could do better. What are the supportive plans and intervention needed to expand the outcomes of these initiatives? We examined data quality, the sustainability of the impact, and replicability of our intervention. It made us realize that our role was not just about funding infrastructure, but about enabling system change. This led to the development of a more rigorous impact assessment framework, which we are now integrated into all new ADFD-funded climate projects. So that this is the most important lesson we learned. The way we look at innovation, it's not about technology, but it's 4 dimension. And I will explain further. Let me to share with you some example. The first aspect of innovation, the way we see it, is innovation in technology. In our project in Samoa, we introduced an innovation that had never been seen in the Pacific a decade ago. 255-meter wind turbines that could be folded down to withstand cyclones and hurricanes within minutes. This massive structure could be secured, ensuring both resilience and continued operation. This is a perfect example of climate adaptation through innovation in technology, grounded in local risk realities. The second example from Tuvalu, space restrictions. I think innovation has different dimension as well. Spatial planning. In Tuvalu, land is very limited. Traditional solar farms were not being visible, but by deploying panels on rooftops and elevated platforms, we were able to deliver solar power to hundreds of residents. And one local teacher shared with us how far the first time their school could power fans, light, and computers, transforming not just comfort, but the very quality education. Another dimension of innovation, ability to mobilize additional finance. And I think this is one of the lesson we learned, and we want to invest more. And considering the fact that we won this award just last summer, we are still working and trying to think in how we can develop good strategies to attract and mobilize additional finance to scale up our projects. In Lakaro, as example, in Fiji, we have been able to mobilize finance from different donors. What are the advices we want to share to the future participant? The first one, I think for them to understand, for those considering submitting their partnership in the future, I think they need to start by deeply understanding the challenges facing SIDS. And we believe that understanding the global agenda, the UN global frameworks related to SIDS is the first step, because it helps you to understand the possible solutions and how far you can go when you build your partnership. And the second one, that we don't need to ignore the community needs. So we need to understand the global forces as well as understanding community needs. The second lesson that we learned, that the innovation has 4 dimensions. In our experience, innovation happens across 4 dimensions: technological, as seen in the foldable wind turbines, and somewhat spatial and creative solutions to space constraints like in Tuvalu vertical solar deployment, but it's also institutional. The main objective of this partnership and the SIDS award as well is to build and show successful partnership. So it's really important to develop a collaborative framework that include 4 different kinds of development actors, including governments, including private sector, multi-development finance institutions, and NGOs. In our case, is the University of South Pacific, who are helping us to deliver training and capacity building. Financial, as we indicated, that we have been able to mobilize funding for some projects, but we are also exploring possibilities of blended finance and other innovative mechanisms. As climate threats escalates, SIDS remain at front lines, but through partnership grounded in trust, data, and innovation, we can support adaptation and mitigation efforts to scale. The future of these partnerships is not only in clean energy, but in resilience, dignity, and opportunity. At ADFB, we are committed to extending our climate and development portfolio to benefit even more SIDS, especially through integrated programs that combine infrastructure, capacity building, and finance. And in closing, I thank the UN again for the platform and for its unwavering commitment to the SIDS agenda. This award is not just a destination, it's a checkpoint in a shared journey that we will follow to double our effort to SIDS. We are proud of what has been achieved, but even more excited about what lies ahead. And at this point, I will stop, and I still have time. I can show you some video about the initiative, and if I finish the 10 minutes, so I'll stop at this point. Thank you very much.
For Ali, we can't hear the sound. When you share the screen, you can select include sound.
Let me to try to do it again. I'm not that good in technology. Shared sound, yeah.
Share, yes. Share.
Resources
When you share,
and economy.
perfect. We can hear you.
Small island developing states are vital to our planet's biodiversity, culture, and economy. These nations, often seen as paradises, face unique challenges: vulnerability to climate change, limited Small island developing states are vital to our planet's biodiversity, culture, and economy. These nations, often seen as paradises, face unique challenges: vulnerability to climate change, limited resources, and economic fragility. The United Arab Emirates has recognized their critical importance and committed to fostering sustainable development through innovative partnerships. Aligned with the Samoa Pathway and the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the UAE's dedication to SIDs is steadfast. The Abu Dhabi Fund for Development, in partnership with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Masdar, leads this commitment through the UAE Caribbean Renewable Energy Fund and the UAE Pacific Renewable Energy Fund. These funds represent a $100 million financing, impacting 26 SIDs nations. They are designed to accelerate the transition to renewable energy, reduce reliance on fossil fuels, and enhance energy security, directly combating climate change. But it's more than just energy. These initiatives support innovation and women empowerment, capacity building, and create jobs that boost local economies. They represent a holistic approach to sustainable development.
This innovative initiatives, bringing together Abu Dhabi Fund for Development funding and Masdar expertise, will enable those countries to access cost-effective and reliable renewable energy sources that have been previously unavailable and will have significant impact on communities across those islands.
The UAE and ADFD reaffirm their unwavering commitment to the prosperity and resilience of SIDs. Together, we are building a sustainable future, driven by innovation, empowerment, and partnership. ADFD, Global Partners for Sustainable Development.
Thank you very much.
Ali, Mr. Hamed Al-Berei, thank you so much for this presentation. It's uplifting and very encouraging to see the good work that the fund is advancing in small island developing states, as you had recounted today. I trust that those who are joining us in this webinar are encouraged about what they saw and has given them some aspiration as well. So thank you so much for this. We'll be reaching out to you later on in the year about this initiative, and we hope that to hear from you then as well. Now we are going to invite our next speaker, Ms. Aswaraya Pillai. She's joining us from Delhi, and she's the representative of the, in fact, she's the lead specialist for the Coalition for Disaster Risk Resilient Infrastructure, CDRI, and the Infrastructure for Resilience Island States, the IRIS, which was the winner of last year's 2024 Environmental Categories Award. And we are glad to welcome you this morning and this afternoon from evening in Delhi. Ms. Pillai, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nawati, and thank you, Ms. Kojima, and everyone, my fellow presenters, previous awardees, and to the co-chairs and the dignitaries who are attending this webinar. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from New Delhi. I'll quickly share a couple of slides. I'm not sure if you can see my screen. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes,
Okay.
we are. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you so much for this opportunity. Just a quick kind of introduction to who we are. So the CDRI, Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, it's a global multi-stakeholder partnership of around 44. Actually, the count has increased now. We're around 46 countries and 7 organizations. We're pretty young. We were born in 2019 when we were launched by the Prime Minister of India as a clarion call for countries and organizations to come together to ensure that, you know, the infrastructure that we're investing in or existing infrastructure is resilient to the kind of climate and disaster risk that we see, which is like a reality today. So that was the very genesis of CDRI. And today we've kind of grown, as you can see, the number of members that we have. It's a truly inclusive and diverse platform. We have from across the world, we have small island developing states, of course, and we have, landlocked countries, we have lower middle income countries, we have the developed economies, and they've all come together to learn from each other and to kind of share knowledge and good practices. And so it's a very unique platform. It's truly inclusive, and it's working towards tangible improvements to the way infrastructure is designed, planned, maintained, and kind of ensuring that we're investing in resilient infrastructure to reap the resilience dividend in terms of resilient communities and a resilient future. This is about CDRI, and of course, the Infrastructure for Resilient Island States is a flagship, is the very first flagship program of CDRI. In fact, this is a dedicated facility, funding, technical assistance, and capacity building facility for small island developing states. Its very uniqueness is in that it's of, by, and for small island developing states. So we were kind of, our very genesis of this program was in kind of partnership with SIDS. It was co-curated. So the 5 kind of guiding principles that we have that guide the IRIS program is, complementarity, it's co-curation, it's about absorptive capacity and ownership, flexibility, and of course, inclusion. So it's driven by the SIDS, it's for the SIDS, and it's made of, it's kind of, in the end, the impact is on the SIDS. And this is just a kind of a mechanism that we have to enable that to partner with the SIDS. The IRIS program is exclusively SIDS focused, as I said, and all 57 SIDS are eligible to participate. And some of these SIDS are already members of the coalition as well. IRIS was launched in COP26 by the heads of state of India, as you can see on the screen. So we have around $40 million commitment from the governments of UK, Australia, European Union, and India. And this is the kind of resources that we mobilize. So there is enough kind of, for a long-term intervention. The kind of lifetime we're looking at is around 2030. And we are kind of committed to ensuring that the money and the resources are used to for the betterment of the SIDS. And this is why I say that, why I kind of started with saying that's off, by, and for SIDS. It was kind of co-owned. So the governments, the SIDS governments are very much in the driver's seat. So if you can see how we kind of came up with the whole idea of IRIS, it was very, very participatory. It was co-curated. We had all these consultations that led to the IRIS vision being formulated, which was launched. And subsequently, there was an IRIS, the first call for proposals. But the IRIS vision itself was anchored deeply in the Samoa pathway and the priorities that the SIDS had kind of identified for themselves. So it's not a one-way street. It's a very, very vibrant, ongoing partnership that we have. And we're just in the 3rd year or so. Because I know I would love to go on and on, but we are kind of, engaging with state governments and regional organizations from across all the 3 regions. And we have a steering committee which kind of guides. There's an IRIS steering committee, which is, again, truly representative. So it's a 12-member steering committee, which has representatives of SIDS from each of the regions. We have AOSIS, which is the permanent member. We have the regional organizations like PIFs and, CDB, CDIMA. So they also, everything that IRIS does, its vision, its implementation, its design, its, the way we monitor projects is all kind of being done with SIDS and with their kind of, needs at the center of this whole program that we have. Just on your screen, you can see the kind of outreach and consultations we've had for IRIS, beginning from the very, early days as well. And then very recently, when at COP29, we launched the 2nd cohort of projects. And we've been kind of supporting the participation of SIDS governments in, several high-level platforms. For instance, at SIDS4, we supported around 15 small island developing states, government representatives to participate. And there was quite a lot of partnership that we did with UNOHR, SIDS as well, and which led to the kind of mere mention of disaster resilient infrastructure being embedded in the Abbas draft as well. So we're very proud of that, and we understand. And I think it's that advocacy, it's that partnership, it's that commitment to partner with SIDS that kind of led us to receive the award that we're very, very grateful for, and which we have to live up to in the environmental category. So these are just some kind of visuals to show you how we've been engaging with stakeholders across all these touch points that we've had. Like I said, we received the SIDS for Partnership Award. This was last year, so we can see visuals there. We also launched the second call for proposals, at SIDS 4, which is again aligned with Abbas, and the funding was in the areas again aligned with Abbas on climate action, mainstreaming resilience, and strengthening data for resilient, inclusive infrastructure. The IRIS Steering Committee, which I mentioned, is a 12-member committee which is chaired by the Director General of CDRI, but it's fully represented. The majority of the membership is SIDS representatives, and of course we have the 4 donors as well. So it kind of ensures that whatever we do, our programming, our vision, our kind of future outlook is kind of then informed by what the SIDS need. So it's not like an external imposition, it's very much co-curated. Like I said, it's a partnership approach to implementation all through the life cycle of the projects and the program itself, right from the awarding of projects, where though we do not fund governments directly, we look at mandatory government endorsement of the implementing partners. The IRIS Steering Committee is again looking at the proposals that we're awarding. So in terms of the measurable bit of the SMART criteria, we're looking at achievable targets. We're looking at targets, we're looking at outcomes that are kind of proven. So it's aligned with the national strategies, with the national adaptation plans, as it were. So this kind of a scoping, this kind of a mapping is to be done already. And so that the intervention that's proposed is aligned with what the country needs or what the country prioritizes. So this is just to show you that all across the life cycle, right from the contracting to the inception phase. So there is an inception phase for all the awarded projects, where you kind of have consultations with all the stakeholder groups, including the government. And you have project steering committees, again, with government representation. So at no step in this program or in the project is the government ever left out. So it's truly participatory and inclusive. In the implementation phase, again, I think going with the SMART criteria, it's very results-based. So we're looking at impact. We're not just looking at mere outputs. We're looking at how will this impact the larger scheme of things, or the vision or the strategy that the country has in place for resilient infrastructure, resilient communities. So we have checkpoints in terms of quarterly, annual, and final reviews, which has mandatory government representation. Again, we are planning from this year to have monitoring visits by the team in the Secretariat, which is in Delhi. And we have now representation in the regions as well. So we have 2 senior specialists in the Caribbean and in the Pacific who are actively engaging with our partners, with the governments, to understand what are the needs and to kind of oversee certain projects and how the progress is being kind of enabled, or are there any roadblocks, what are the challenges, a very active risk mitigation strategy that's being implemented. These are the IRIS areas of intervention. So like I said, in the current framework, we do not fund governments directly. We also do not construct. So we do not give funds for construction, but we do kind of enable. So the kind of interventions that we cover is technical assistance in terms of implementation readiness, capacity building the capacity of national and subnational governments, access to finance. So a key kind of objective of IRIS is to ensure that the government, there's a pipeline of bankable projects, which can then open up more doors, can unlock finance for small island developing states, risk-informed policy and planning. We have a lot of multi-hazard early warning system centric projects. We have a lot of data management projects as well. So that's the whole competitive segment of it, where we have calls for proposals. A single country can kind of get up to 500K, and a multi-country, which includes 3 or more countries who can come together, can get up to $750,000 US. And very quickly, we don't want to kind of shut out, given this is an inclusive kind of a program and targeting all 57 SIDS. We do not want any island to be left out, any island nation to be left out. So there's the whole non-competitive segment, which includes capacity building. We have a community of practice for small island developing states where we're kind of sharing knowledge and we're looking at peer learning activities. JETC, again, gender equality, disability, and social inclusion is a core pillar of IRIS. So the three outcomes of IRIS are: one, in terms of strengthened resilience of infrastructure itself. Second is in terms of the whole, access to finance and to the knowledge, etc. And the third is, a more inclusive approach. So mainstreaming gender in these infrastructure projects and in the program all across. So these are some of the core principles of IRIS. This is just to show you where we are at since that award that we received. We already have 2 cohorts of projects. We had 23 projects across 25 SIDS, as you can see. It's all across the 3 regions. We have the Caribbean and a few in the Indian and Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific as well. And we're very excited about it. They have so as you'll see in the next slide, they cover like a spectrum of sectors here. We have water, we have all the critical infrastructure sectors like power, transport, telecom. We have social infrastructure. We have some very interesting projects in Haiti on revising the national building code. So housing's kind of taken care of. So infrastructure governance. We're looking at, there's one project in the Maldives. We're looking at financing, right? So, and we're building the capacity of the government to be then able to take, risk-informed decisions in terms of investing in resilient infrastructure. Water, again, is a very, we understand how critical it is to small island developing states. So water infrastructure, there are projects that deal with it. For instance, in Mauritius, we have a project that's about to roll out on the Northern Aquifer and how to ensure that that infrastructure is resilient in terms of, being able to continue providing potable water to the, the population that depends on it. So the direct and indirect impacts and beneficiaries are always factored in all through our projects. There's a lot more detail I can go into, but I'd quickly like to skip to this is just a glimpse of the projects that we have. This is the second cohort of projects that we have. So you can see it's like a very rich, diverse set. So while the first cohort is under implementation and is already yielding very early kind of outputs, the second set of projects are yet to roll out. And like I said, we're working with implementing partners, so they can be participating UN organizations and non-UN organizations, but we fund them and they are accountable. So in terms of transparency and accountability, we have the implementing agency who's responsible for, the complete implementation of the project over the 18 to 24-month life cycle. And the government remains a very vital partner in this whole journey. These are some visuals that we have from the field. This one is from the Dominica, where we're again working with an organization called Build Change on resilient housing. And, they did a data collection and came up with a set of data set, to then kind of start building, start kind of recommending and looking at the codes, etc. And this is another critical project that we are looking at kind of now implementing as part of the first cohort. This is in Guyana. This is looking at the drainage and irrigation systems, embedding resilience into it. So they're looking at an integrated strategy for, drainage and irrigation. And we're also trying to ensure that that's inclusive. So it's a gender, so the gender aspect is also important here. What you see on screen is the first ever national stakeholder workshop that was kind of to first draft the strategy. So this is something that we're very proud of because it's yielding. The governments are involved. Like I said, you can see on your screen how everyone's come together. Finally, in terms of the impact on SIDS, as you can see, we're partnering for resilience. We're kind of creating a pipeline of bankable projects, with an eye on scale, with an eye on uptake, with an eye on building local capacity at the government level. So it's not like experts coming in and flying out, but it's about the governments being equipped with the knowledge, the tools, and the resources to be able to sustain these interventions. So not the projectization so much, but looking at a larger program, a sustainable kind of intervention. We're looking at, capacity building, like I said. JETC mainstreaming is again something that we're focusing on. We're coming up with a set of recommendations. There's a white paper soon this year. We're also looking, like I said, at the influencing the kind of investments that these solutions will then yield or influence in terms of the sector specific investments. And I'd also like to take this opportunity to say that how critical it is for us to partner with SIDS, that our next international conference, the International Conference on Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, that's to be held in Nice, France in June, 6th to 7th, before the UNOC, is kind of focusing on coastal infrastructure with a specific focus on small island developing states. So that's how significant this whole intervention is for us. And like I said, we're looking at all 57 SIDS to be kind of partnering with them to ensure that infrastructure is resilient, and so hence there are resilient communities, and hence there is improved livability for all, because this is the least we can do to kind of be with the most vulnerable nations. So I think I will end here because I'm sure I have gone over time, but this is it. And I think in terms of being prepared for the process, I think we've ensured that we've kind of anticipated the kind of questions that might come. We've done some mock presentations, I believe, when we applied for the award. And we also tried to kind of sound out stakeholders who were not sure about what we're doing. So kind of, trying to see how well that lands. And also, I think in terms of anticipating the kind of FAQs that might come your way and being prepared for that, and yeah, just a bit about the innovation. I think innovation is, again, embedded across the IRIS lifecycle. For instance, now we're also working with a pool of experts. So we're looking at international experts to then kind of guide these projects. So bring in that value add, with small island developing states aren't really kind of equipped with the resources or the data. So we're trying to see those entry points to be able to kind of partner with them better. I'm sure I could have said more, but thank you so much for this. And I'm open to any question. Thank you so much.
Ms. Pillay, thank you so much for that very comprehensive presentation about the good work that you are doing in SIDS, reminding us of the genuine nature of the partnerships that you are building, which we deeply appreciate. Now, colleagues, we are now going to invite the last of our speakers in this session, and we are happy to welcome to us Ms. Alexandra Boshi. She is, of course, the program coordinator with UNESCO Culture Sector. And this award, the Transculture Integrating Cuba, the Caribbean and the European Union through Culture and Creativity, was a very interesting winner of the social category last year. And we are really looking forward to an update to what has happened since. You go, Alexandra, please. I think you might be muted.
Alessandra, we can't hear you. No.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
we now
Okay,
can hear you.
perfect.
You go right
So,
ahead.
I was saying thank you very much, Mr. Navoti, and for the very kind invitation. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. It's a real pleasure for me to be here to tell you about the Transcultura partnership. We were indeed extremely honored to receive last year the UN SIDS Partnership Award in the social category. Let me first of all tell you very briefly about this partnership, which is a partnership related to culture. So it's a different domain from those that we mentioned before, that were presented before. It has a very specific regional scope, so it covers 17 countries from the Caribbean, and in particular, it's a partnership with the European Union. So the whole idea was to build and to strengthen cultural cooperation within the 17th countries, but also between countries in the Caribbean and countries in Europe, through cultures, through creativity, through the cultural and creative industries. which we believe have a very strategic, a very important role in terms of economic and social development of the communities that we want to support. Allow me also to mention that SIDS is one of the specific target groups, priority target groups for UNESCO. So it has been, Trascultura has been the largest UNESCO initiative in this area. And I'm going straight to your questions. I know that you wanted us to respond to some specific question. The first one was, how was the partnership smart? So now let me tell you, because this was very interesting. As I mentioned, this is a UN program. Okay, so of course it's based on a results framework. We had very smart, very clearly defined, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant and time-bound targets. And I would say that this was particularly so because of the extensive time that was spent in consultations before the launching of the partnership. So it was really a bottom-up approach, which is what makes, in my opinion, most of the smart approach. If you really respond to needs, your partnership is going to be smart. There's no issue about that. Said that, the challenge that we had was that it was launched in 2020. So its implementation started in January 2020, originally for 5 years, then it got extended of 1 year. And then COVID came, and so all the achievable, all the specific suddenly changed because we were in the middle of course, of a global pandemic, which affected every sector, and as you are fully aware, even more the culture sector. So we had to readjust our approach completely in order to be relevant, to maintain relevance in the results that we wanted to achieve. And I will come to the second question that you wanted us to answer, which was about the impact. So I mentioned 17 countries. I mentioned cultural and creative industries, so 28 different themes. Imagine theater, music, dance, photography, all the different aspects which are related to cultural creation. Targeting youth, I did not mention this. So people aged between 18 and 35. Not that we necessarily need to agree on this definition of youth, of course, but that's the one we had, which was based on the policies, on the national policies on youth of our 17 beneficiary countries. And the impact of the partnership was twofold. Was, of course, what we had foreseen. I can give you figures. I can tell you 750 scholarships awarded for young cultural professionals in the region. I can tell you 40 training courses. I can tell you 150 cultural projects and initiatives supported. But all of this is what had been expected and planned. But what was particularly interesting was what we had not anticipated. For example, the program is based on two main pillars, which are the professionalization of the cultural and creative sector, so giving young people the opportunity to be trained, and the creation of opportunities. Okay, so imagine for the capacity building, we had planned presential courses, and we simply could not do them for 2 years almost. Okay, so we had online courses, but we had to train professors on how to be online professors. It's a very simple example, but it was one of the unexpected consequences of the program. We created a Caribbean cultural training hub, bringing together 7 high-level cultural and educational institutions from the Caribbean. So the University of the West Indies, for example, or the School of the Arts, or the International Cinema and Television School of San Antonio de los Baños. So a number of educational institutions focusing on culture. And for the first time, young people in the region could be trained in the Caribbean on this subject. So without having to go to Europe or to North America or elsewhere, they could be trained there through capacity building programs which had been tailored specifically to the Caribbean context. And so, yes, we trained professors on digital education methodologies, for example, and this was not planned, it was not expected. Young people from European overseas territories told us we want to be trained in the Caribbean and not in Europe because our needs, our challenges, our issues are Caribbean issues. So these are all examples of the impact that the program had, and especially of the unexpected impact that the program had. You asked about our experience with the partnership in applying. It has been a wonderful experience, and I really, really wish to thank the team, the Small Island Developing States unit for the incredible support that we received throughout the application process. So whenever we had a question, they have been extremely kind and helpful. The process is very clear, it's very it was very streamlined. And if there's one piece of advice that I would like to share which is what I think has been awarded, is show how your partnership creates change. If we don't create change, of course, our projects serve nothing. So the focus was really on showing how through that initiative and through how that initiative had been based on an analysis of needs, we had given communities what they needed, what they were looking for. And one of the greatest benefits and experiences and lessons learned that we had from applying to the awards was that this really gave us trust to consider the replicability of this initiative in other Pacific states, so in other parts of the world. We are considering this now for the Pacific, for example. And beyond this has really been a recognition of the importance of culture as an engine for sustainable development. I really want to stress this because very often, we hear about food, water, shelter, sanitation, of course, all aspects, which is highly infrastructure, which are highly important and highly strategic. But there's this whole part of work which is related to identity, which is related to social cohesion, which is related to employment, because when we talk about cultural entrepreneurship, we talk about jobs, we talk about very concrete professional opportunities. So this has been, in a way, the real game changer for us. And the last question that you wanted me to answer was about innovation. So in what way was the partnership innovative? It was innovative in different ways. The first way is that I would say it's really the combination of capacity building and creation of opportunities. We had initiatives based only on capacity building, and in the post-COVID context, this was not enough. It was clearly not enough. So accompanying these young people, helping them from capacity building through grants, through capacity building, but on communication, on branding, on setting up a business, not on the theme, not on the subject matter, mentorship, cooperation opportunities with cultural institutions in Europe. All of this has not been done before. So we have been extremely proud of the results that we have achieved. The second aspect related to innovation for this partnership has been bringing opportunities to youth. So we were telling young people, young cultural professionals, there are so many funding opportunities out there. And yes, of course there are, but they're scattered. They're scattered. The application process sometimes is very difficult. So we realized that we had to go beyond that. and, for example, develop the Herald of Opportunities. So we mapped all opportunities offered by cultural institutions in the European Union. It was a massive work, let me tell you, in the 28 themes of the cultural and creative industries. So imagine all opportunities in terms of grants, in terms of capacity building courses, in terms of artistic residences, a variety of themes. And we included all of that in a kind of newsletter, bi-monthly newsletter that we would send to all of our networks, to all the networks of young cultural professionals at the time when the call for application is open. So they would receive this in their email at the time when the call is open, and would be able to apply them much easier way. And if they needed support in the application process, we would provide that support. So this was another aspect of the innovation. And I think that, like my predecessors, I will stop here because I may have passed my 10 minutes. Thank you very much again for inviting me and for your attention.
Thank you, Alexandra. Thank you very much for that. Yes, we noted that our presenters got a little bit of more time, but I think the information that they gave was a good update of what they're doing. And also, perhaps in their presentations, and give insight to those who are wishing to apply, some knowledge of what to expect in this process. So thank you very much, the three of you, for your presentations. I'm not seeing any question posted in the Q&A, so therefore we will not have any question. We'll go straight now to Ms. Saiko Kajima, who will now talk to us about Partnerships Award 2025. Sai.
Thank you so much, Sai. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. So I would like to provide an information about the process of the awards. But first, I would like to say that what do we mean by partnerships? So in a context of sustainable development, we refer to partnerships as collaboration between or among organizations from different stakeholders for a common vision, maximizing resources and competencies and sharing risks. It could be a project implemented by multiple entities that is driving sustainable development of SIDS. The term multi-stakeholder partnerships, the term we quite often use, can refer to a significant range of structures, including networks made up of hundreds of organizations to joint ventures between 2 or 3 organizations, from localized initiatives to global endeavors. It could also be a single arrangement to a complex multi-issue initiative. In the Antigua and Barbuda's agenda for SIDS, the term partnerships is mentioned in a context of ocean-based economies, energy transitions, and energy efficiencies, plastic pollutions, excuse me, and biodiversity and data. What I want to focus here is that there is a section dedicated to partnerships. And it says here that the partnership should be based on mutual collaboration and ownership, trust, alignment, harmonization, respect, results orientation, accountability, transparency, including with relevant stakeholders. It also mentions expanding, diversifying partnerships with local authorities, civil society, NGOs, foundations, private sector, academia, and international financial institutions, and also to leverage SIDS, South-South, North-South, and triangular cooperations. On eligibility, there are mainly 6 items here that I would like to inform. So the beneficiaries of the partnerships should be SIDS listed here. I put the link here. There are 37 member states and 20 associate members of regional commissions. And if you click on this link here, you will be able to see the whole list of SIDS. An online application form, you will be able to select multiple SIDS and associate members of regional commissions. And of course, we heard from the speakers today that the partnerships should be in line with SMART criteria and also driving innovation. Partnerships whose goals and objectives and outputs and outcomes are clearly linked to the achievement of the ABAS and the Sustainable Development Goals. And also partnerships should have demonstrated and documented impacts. We heard today from the distinguished speakers that the impacts that have had on their beneficiaries. So I also would like to note here is that the partnerships, we can't consider partnerships that are created yesterday, for example. They should have demonstrated some impacts. Partnerships should verify their legitimacy, so please provide website links of news articles or featured stories or case studies or evaluation reports, which confirms the validity of the partnerships. We would like to prevent selecting partnerships that do not exist. Also, the partnerships should be ongoing or recently completed, completed within last year in 2024. So on the category, as mentioned by the co-chairs earlier on, there are 3 categories, which are economic, environmental, and social. And we have categorized the ABAS priority areas into these 3 areas, but some of them cannot be categorized. For example, data, science, technology, innovations, and partnerships. So we call these areas cross-cutting areas, and applicants are required to choose one of the 3 categories that are most closely aligned with the objectives of the partnerships. I put link here to where you will be able to see the full text of the ABAS, so that we can read a paragraph carefully to determine which one of these categories that your partnerships are closely linked to. So how can you apply? First, please read Rules and Guidelines 2024. It's available online. It has all the information you need to know about the process, including the eligibility, link to the form, and there is also a questionnaire attached to this so that you are able to see the list of questions that are asked on the application form, so that you're able to coordinate with your partners beforehand. And here I also put the link to the online application form, so please complete it fully. And then the deadline is Friday, the 13th of June. And these questions, we have created these questions to help applicants to provide us the information that we're looking for. Also, there are word limits, and on average, it's 200 to 300 words per question. So please answer each question within the word limit. Self-nominations and nominations by the third parties are both acceptable. It could be submitted by governments, intergovernmental organizations, UN entities, major groups, relevant stakeholders like civil society organizations, NGOs and academia and private sector. On criteria, of course, these are very important, and these example of these have been provided by the speakers before me. And details of these criteria are outlined in the rules and guidelines, but here I would like to focus a few points. On SIDS specific. So beneficiary must be SIDS in the list. So as I mentioned earlier, please go to the link I have provided. There are a list of 37 member states and 20 regional associate members of regional commissions. And partnerships should demonstrate how they address gaps and challenges in specific to SIDS. Measurable and monitorable. Partnerships should have clear goals and outputs. They should also have monitoring the progress of the implementation, including through a monitoring and evaluation framework. Unachievable and accountable. Partnerships should have governance structure, including through a steering committee. Should have approach of all partners and ensuring that participating of entities that you're partnering with. And resource-based and results-focused. Partnerships should have sustainable resources for implementation, that is funding and human resources. Also should have tangible results verified by stakeholders. Timeline for implementation and transparency by all parties. Partnerships should have clear timeline for deliverables, clear roles for partners and stakeholders, and ensure transparency, including by sharing information. And finally, innovation. So this is a new criteria we've added this year. We've heard great examples by the previous distinguished speakers on the examples of what innovation could be. So innovation can be adopting new approaches to problem solving, exploring alternative methods, enhancing existing systems, and taking risks to create something original. In the question, in the application form, we're asking, did the partnership introduce a new idea, concept, or approach that have not been tried before? And does it potentially lead to transformative change or be replicated to other SIDS? On the evaluation process. So the award secretariat, that is UNDESA and OHRLS, will review all the applications received, and we will evaluate all the applications based on SMART criteria and also innovation. And we will have internal discussions and recommend 9 top finalists. So that is 3 top nominees per category to the judging panel. And then the next step will be to convene an interactive discussion, that is a virtual discussion with the judging panel members. And the judging panel members are composed of 8 members. And during that interactive discussion, we will ask each partnership to provide 1 representative to do a 3-minute presentation. And this will be followed by Q&A segment. And based on applications and also the interactive discussion, the judging panel will evaluate the 9 finalists based on applications and interactive discussions and based on the criteria and by using a score sheet. And the result will be announced at the award ceremony, which will be taking place at the end of this year. If you have any questions, please send us an email. We will reply as soon as we can. And please do not hesitate to contact us. And this is the end of my presentation. Happy to answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sai, for that very comprehensive and helpful information. I trust with what you have presented and information that we've heard from the presenters this morning, those who are joining us with the intention of applying for the 2025 SIDS Partnerships Award have been availed with some important information that will and may assist them in their application. So I want to thank you for that, Sai. And I'm just having a quick look at the time. We have exactly 2 minutes. I don't see any question and answer, but I've seen some comments in the chat. I want to acknowledge colleagues who put comments there: Ishmael, Andy, Tukundo, and David and Zainal. Thank you for your comments. Let me just quickly try and answer it all. Yes, the presentations that were made today will be made available, and you can also be able to find it later on in the website of the SIDS Partnerships Award posted there. The recordings will be made available as well we'll try and get the Secretariat will try and get SAI to also make that available as well. Now, in terms of the application, I have been advised that you can only apply for one category. So make sure, I'm sure that a lot of our partnerships transcend all three categories. But to help the Secretariat and to make sure that we receive the most important, genuine, best in each particular field, we ask of you to please have a good look at your partnerships, assess which of the category that best suits you, and put forward your best application. That's how we were going to say it. So the answer to that is yes, you are only allowed to do one application. And I'm now just seeing Sai raising his hand. Sai, please.
Thank you, Sai. Yes, I'm also just compliment to what you said. To answer the question posed by GEF, SGAP, UNDP Mauritius, can an organization apply for two categories? So the answer to that is yes, an organization can apply for two or three categories. It's just the partnership cannot apply for the same partnership cannot apply for multiple categories, if that makes sense. So if this UNDP Mauritius has multiple partnerships, then each partnership can apply for each category. If I hope I'm making sense here. The organization, yes, can be partner of several partnerships, but the partnership can only apply for one category, one application. I hope I made myself clear.
Well, Sai, I do hope that that is clear, and that will be the way we are going to treat the applications that are going to be submitted. We'll examine the applicant. If it is indeed an organization, then we will suspect that they might be applying for two type of partnerships if they are belonging to two or three partnerships, because this do happen. And as we can see from our colleagues here in UNESCO, they're partnering with many people, including the European Union and others, and those in the region as well. So with that, I want to thank the comments that has come from the chat and exhibiting appreciation for this series of webinar. I also just would like, on behalf of all of us, acknowledge and thank the co-chairs, Emil and Hussein, for the leadership. Thank you very much. And we are looking forward, Emil, to your leadership in terms of the judging, leading the judging panel in that exercise when we receive the applications. I also want to spend the time to thank Ms. Pillay, Boriti, and Mr. Alderi for your time and the good work that your respective partnerships has confirmed to us today, genuine, durable, and SIDS specific, and their presentations. And I also want to acknowledge all our colleagues who are joining us from every part of the world, irrespective of time. We are glad that you are joining us, and we hope that we will receive a large number of applicants for this year's Partnerships Award. Now, we're a little bit just out of time, 3 minutes, so I will now end this webinar series by thanking everybody and wishing all the very best of the rest of their day or night. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.